Hyrcanus was a son of Yosef ben Tovia. He was a young lad, and he traveled from Israel to Egypt to attend a grand party that the Paro was throwing in celebration of the birth of his son. And the Paro took a liking to Hyrcanus, and he seated him on the head table, much to the dismay of all the other guests. They didn't like this, that the Paro was giving such attention and such honor to a young Jewish lad. And so they plotted to show him up in a bad light. They collected all the bones from their plates. And when Paro's head was turned, they placed all their bones on Hyrcanus's plate. As Paro looks down, there he sees Hyrcanus sitting with a plate filled with bones. He says, "Young boy, is this how much food you eat? Didn't anybody ever teach you manners?" And Hyrcanus replied, he said, "Well, you see, your Royal Highness, I am human. When I eat meat, I eat the meat and I leave the bones. But the rest of your guests, it seems, are dogs. They eat not only all the meat, but also all the bones, as is apparent by their empty plates." Paro laughed. At times we look back at our life and we think, hey, I have a pile of bones, mistakes of the past, missed opportunities that I could have really used. And how do we respond to that? Do we let those bones of the past weigh us down, show us up within ourselves in a shameful way? Or do I use those bones to uplift me and channel them in a positive manner? Parshat Naso is exactly about this concept. It talks about the Isha Sota, the suspected woman. Before returning back to her husband, she would need to go to the Bet HaMikdash and go through a whole experience, not necessarily very positive. But after that, and after Hashem's name would be placed in the bitter waters and Hashem's name would be dissolved, she could return back to her husband, and the Torah enumerates a whole load of blessings that Hashem would shower upon her. Actually, the story of Isha Sota is a mashal for our own life, for our neshama, that sometimes we look back and we feel like we failed. Now, sin is never a good thing. But once it's done, Chassidut teaches us, we have to accept that it was Hashem's will and it had to happen. Before a person sins, they have the free choice whether to do it or not. And of course, they should try to choose the right thing. But if Chas v'Chalila, a person hasn't, then la'achar ma'aseh, after it happened, we need to accept that it was Hashem's will. The question is, what do I do now? The Yetzer Hara wants us more than anything to get depressed by it, to knock ourselves down, to be immobile and incapable of moving on. The Torah tells us, oh no, there's always a remedy, there's always a way to move on. As is apparent by the story of the Isha Sota, she was suspected of doing the most heinous crime, but the Torah gave her a chance to prove herself, a chance to return to her husband, and Hashem wanted it so much that he allowed his name to become erased. It's the same with us. We need to know that the mistakes of the past can only make us stronger. So if I messed up yesterday, then let's say I messed up in a relationship, then that mistake should make me stronger today. Not only will I go back to where my relationship was before, but it will become even stronger. I'll only appreciate the relationship even more and do everything in my power to strengthen it and make sure that the negative circumstances don't happen again. And it's something we need to keep in mind. It's something we need to teach our children, that if you make a mistake, there's always a way to fix it. There's always a way to move on. And I think as a side note, we should really keep in mind that Hashem so wants Shalom Bait, to the point that Hashem agrees, not only agrees, but tells us in the Torah that his name should be erased. Because it's fundamental to Jewish life. It's fundamental to the health of the Jewish home. And if we really want to raise our children in a healthy environment, if we want to give them a clear path to tread, then both spouses need to be setting the same path. We need to be on the same page, and it needs to be an environment of warm and love, and only then can a child really blossom. So, may Hashem give you a lot of nachat ruach from your precious children. May we wear it very soon again to have the Bet HaMikdash and return again to all the mitzvot of the days of the Bet HaMikdash, obviously all the positive ones. Thank you.